What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Saturday, January 15th. So President Biden had a pretty big week. I think we can all agree that this past week we saw the Biden administration fail to pass their agenda. Here's what happened this past week. President Biden wasn't able to get the voting rights bill pushed through. This is a big issue because this is something that Democrats feel that they have to get done in order to win in the upcoming midterm elections. We also know President Biden didn't have the numbers to change the filibuster. This is a huge issue because by not changing the filibuster, they cannot change the voting rights bill. By not changing the filibuster, there's going to be other bills down the line that they can't get done either. So, the issue with the filibuster is actually pretty simple. What Democrats' plan was to introduce the voting rights bill, and then when that failed, it was to then go and get a vote on the filibuster. Well, before any of this stuff actually happened, Senator Sinema and Senator Joe Manchin both stated they're not going to change the filibuster. They don't want to weaken it. This week, we also saw inflation continue to soar. We were once at 6.8%. We are now at 7% inflation. And these are new recent highs. This is a problem because this was one of the things that President Biden said was we need to pass the American Rescue Plan because that was not going to increase inflation. It was going to help the American people, but yet we haven't really seen that. So, got a lot of issues here. We also saw the Supreme Court. They're upholding the lower court's ruling to actually halt the vaccine mandates that President Biden put in place. That's an issue as well because that was supposed to start last week. We also know President Biden is still nowhere near getting his Build Back Better Act negotiated and passed. And this stimulus bill is pretty much on hold for now. Senator Joe Manchin stated that he's open to negotiations, but nobody actually wants to confront him right now because nobody knows where he stands, what provisions he is open to negotiating, and which ones he's willing to ultimately pass. Again, and people keep saying this, is it President Joe Biden or is it President Joe Manchin? Right now, senators, they don't know. What we do know, though, is that when this stimulus package does get negotiated, one of the big things that is going to be in it is how does this get funded and taxes. This is one of the reasons why multiple lawmakers are saying that we need to pass a standalone bill. They say that a standalone bill is going to be easier to pass. It's also something that they could get Republicans behind. Here's what I can tell you. Right now, the most likely outcome is a standalone bill for the child tax credit payments. The only problem is the tax credit payments. They went from $2,000 originally up to $3,600. That's the issue. It's not the fact that, they get a monthly payment. That has bipartisan support. It's the fact that there's a bigger payment. So instead of getting $2,000 per year, they're getting $3,000 and $3,600. That's the issue. So, some say if we just bring the payment back down to a more manageable and easier to manage number, that would be easier to pass. But again, who knows if that will actually happen. What we do know right now is that Senator Ron Wyden, he's from Oregon, and more than 100 Democrats, they actually support a bill for President Biden to extend the emergency powers to the states. Here's the reason why this is so important. Because we're going to be seeing the emergency powers expire very soon. And if states want to have the rights to mandate laws, vaccines, masks, and also to have the ability to issue emergency funding due to the pandemic, this must be done. However, it hasn't been done yet. So we will see when President Biden does this. The expectation is he will. We just don't know exactly when. We also know that Democrats are really pushing to see the child tax credit payments. I know we already addressed this just a little bit, but let me just break this down a little bit more. Many Democrats say that the only way to get this passed is through standalone bills. But this is holding up about 30 million families. It's holding up 30 million families because 30 million families were impacted because of the expired piece of legislation. And most of the 30 million families, they relied on these $250 or $300 monthly payments to help feed their family, to help watch their children, and even clothe their kids. And a handful of Senate aides have said that they believe that this is going to be a bipartisan standalone bill. Remember, Senator Mitt Romney, he was one of the first people that proposed this type of bill. It was him. And he was proposing $4,200 payments, not $3,000 and $3,600 payments. So many argue that this provision right here, this one, it only strengthens our economy. It helps keep children out of poverty, and this is good for all American people. So it's interesting the different dynamics and the different ways lawmakers are trying to push their own agendas. But a standalone bill for the child tax credit payments, that seems to be one of the most likely options at this point. Again, and I've said this before, and this is what many lawmakers have stated as well, and experts, for the upcoming midterm elections. Everyone keeps saying the same thing. Democrats just have to pass something. That's the issue, is they're trying to just pass something, but they're hit and miss all over the place. They were trying to get the Build Back Better Act. Nope, didn't pass. Then they negotiated with Senator Joe Manchin. He said yes. They tried to push it. Then he said no. Now they're trying to get the voting rights bill done. Well, that might not happen because then they're jumping over to the filibuster. Well, that might not happen either. And now the reports are President Biden is planning to introduce his agenda as early as this month for police reform. So they're going to jump all over the place, and now they're going to try to tackle police reform. And again, just keep in mind, before February 18th, the Congress, we have to have a new government funding bill, or else the government will shut down. So the plan as of right now regarding the police reform bill, the plan is to pass police reform sometime in February. The reason behind this is because that is also Black History Month. That could be a good sign. We also know the Biden administration wants to see as many policy changes and their policy goals achieved before his State of the Union address, which is actually coming on March 1st. So, what I can tell you is that the House previously did pass a police reform bill. This was done last year, but it has yet to get any results in the Senate. It's not going to pass in the Senate. So because of that, the expectation as of right now is that this police reform bill will simply be reused and modified to fit what the Senate actually wants. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get through a divided Senate. But the big thing is they are going to push for it. That was one of the questions that a lot of people had, is why was the Biden administration just so for this, and then all of a sudden they just don't talk about it? It's interesting. Let's get to some COVID news for today. The CDC, and I've been bashing on the CDC lately, okay? Because their guidelines have been all over the place. The CDC is now urging Americans to wear the most protective mask you can that fits well and that you will consistently wear. That's what the CDC stated. They also went on to say, masking is a critical public health tool to prevent the spread of COVID, and it is important to remember that any mask is better than no mask at all. So, here's what we know. The CDC, they do know that a N95 mask is much better, but they also say any mask is better than no mask at all. According to scientists, they say that is not technically true. There are masks that are pretty much like they are not even there. They're so thin, they do absolutely nothing. They don't fit right. People wear them underneath their nose and even underneath their mouth. They wear their mask down here. So, is wearing a mask better than not wearing a mask at all? In some cases, it's the same thing. So, right now we don't have the best guidance from the CDC, but that is the news as of today. So, that's just what I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.